Call North Plains City Council meeting to order at 7:03. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic and one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Rowan, would you conduct roll call, please?
Yes, Mayor. Mayor Dumbrell,
Present.
Counselor Hagedorn. Present. Counselor Pittman,
Present.
Counselor Redding,
Here.
Counselor Weber,
Present.
Counselor DeForge,
Present.
all counted.
Thank you. I just want to take a moment before we start, and I'd like to acknowledge the passing of former city councilor. We were informed that Herb Hurst has passed away yesterday. Herb was a great member of the community and a fellow veteran. Cindy did confirm that it's okay for us to share. The arrangements will be forthcoming, but if we could just all try to remember Cindy, and the part of being in a small town is, when one of us loses somebody, we all lose somebody. So let's just keep Cindy in our thoughts and prayers, and when the time is right, we will invite her to come and share a little bit about her. So just wanted to share that with everyone, and we're just grateful for his service to our city and our country. We're going to skip this approval of consent agenda of the meeting minutes because there's an error that we need to correct, and Lori is out on vacation. So we'll come back to those next meeting. So with that, we'll move on to public comment. And as a reminder, council will not respond to public comments. They may respond if they would like during council reports. And the public comments are limited to 3 minutes. And you please state whether you're resident, non-resident, or rural resident. And with that, I would like to invite Larry Gonzalez to the podium to speak on city council candidate.
Hello again.
Hello, Larry.
For those who don't remember me, my name is Larry Gonzalez. I live in North Plains. And since
There.
so. Nice. Can you hear me now?
Now we've got you.
All right, thank you. And thanks for having me here. I appreciate the time. I did want to talk about continuity and community values, and especially for people who have lived in the area for a long time. They share a special love for North Plains and the community in North Plains that some of us, including myself, have only been here 15 years. We don't have the history and the memory of what North Plains was, a couple of years before I got here and before. And so it's nice to be able to be in support of Tara Van Dyke, whose family has been here for a long time. And she's grown up here. And I can't think of a better compliment to the current city council than somebody with the history at North Plains. And I would really like to see her face up here for the next cycle. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. And next up, Russ Sheldon, council appointment.
Hi, folks. I think you all know me. Been around a while.
Better.
Maybe the battery.
Oh, there you go.
I got
Okay, I'll be brief, but I'm here tonight in support of Tara Van Dyke for the council appointment. And the reason is because I've known Tara for nearly 30 years, worked together with Tara back in when my kids were young and her kids were young. Our kids went to school together in the Scout organization. That was in the PAC 175, and also through the volunteering through the schools that a lot of us basically gave to the schools back at that time. And Tara's a lifelong resident. She knows the history of North Plains. She has a pragmatic approach. She will be a good addition and a good voice to the council. She will lend the council credence from her knowledge of the city. And that's why I'm in support of Tara Van Dyke tonight. So when you consider that experience, she has a wealth of qualifications and experience that are related to the position. There are no qualifications to be a mayor or to be an applicant for council. There's none. You have to be a resident. Basically, that's it. Well, that's not very much, and that might need to be fixed. But the consideration of the qualifications and the fact that she has a long history here in North Plains, in my mind, basically is deserving of her appointment to this council. Thank you.
Thank you, Russ. That's all for in person, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Next, we have on behalf of Strong Towns, Linda Gellis Merton. If you can unmute yourself, state your name and resident, non-resident, rural resident, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you know, my name's Linda Gallis Merton and representing Strong Towns, North Plains 97133 for all of us. We are here tonight as a requirement of Oregon law. Recently, Strong Towns made a public records request for the performance review of the city manager when we noticed it had not been completed by council as required by ORS 192.314. That request was denied. The city attorney cited several exemptions: internal advisory, personal nature, submittal in confidence, and executive session materials. We disagree with the reasons given for denial. Our petition is based on the requirements found in ORS 192.610 through 690 and ORS 192.660, which can be summarized as follows. There's a final decision requirement, and while deliberation may happen in private, any final action or decision regarding the manager's performance or compensation must be made in an open public meeting. The next is summary disclosure. Following a performance review, Oregon law requires the city council to return to an open public meeting to provide a summary of the performance review, including as it pertains to compensation. The city, in its denial, told us we could take this issue either to State Attorney General or the county district attorney. However, the law requires us to appeal to this body first. If the council commits tonight to disclosing the summary of the city manager's performance review in a public meeting, we will not pursue further appeals. If no response is provided during this session, we will wait 30 days for the council to comply with the legal requirements, and then we will file the appeal. So we appreciate your efforts in guiding the city and ensuring transparency in its governance. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Emily Waldron. Emily, are you online?
No signs.
No signs? Okay. We'll come back to her if she joins before we close public comment. Next up is Laura Dexheimer.
Hi, my name is Laura Dexheimer. I don't live in North Plains. I live in Banks, and I run the food bank in North Plains. I had received his name, Dustin, with the Public Works, came by the food bank on February 6th, letting me know that Bill had changed where we were going to put our loading zone. So on the meeting on December 22nd, it was agreed that it would go on to 334th, which is much safer, obviously, because there's not cars going 25 miles an hour. And so when he stopped by to let me know that, I was rather shocked. I immediately filed a complaint, which all of you guys were CC'd in on that complaint today. And then I received an email from Bill a couple days later saying that he had received it and that once they knew what was going to happen, then he was going to get back to me. I have not heard anything from Bill. So that date was February 9th. And it says, we shall process and handle on our end, and then we'll be in touch. Okay, that was on the 9th. Today, I received an email from Dustin letting me know, in the meantime, my crew will install the new signs and complete the restriping as staffing and the weather allows. Okay. I have volunteers, and every so often, usually on Thursdays, we have to be up on commercial. It is extremely dangerous. I need your help with stopping Bill and stopping Dustin with putting the loading zone onto commercial. You are putting all of us at risk by getting hit by a car. There was a car coming down commercial and it almost hit the door of the trailer. I'm sure it scared that person to death because it did us. I mean, I just don't understand how this is another example of us jumping through all of Bill's hoops and the city hoops, and then he just decides that he's going to do it his way, regardless of what we had already talked about. This is extremely dangerous to have the loading zone on commercial. It needs to
We're
be
at time. Can you wrap up
334.
quickly, please?
Fine. So I need your help. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes public comment for tonight. As a reminder, if any councilors want to bring anything up, the appropriate time to do so is during council reports. So now we're going to move on to our presentation from Umpqua. Is she on, or do you want me to? I can go to start staff reports. Okay. Bill, do we just want to start staff reports, then we can kind of pause and.
I think that would be, Mayor, that would be a good idea.
Okay.
Savannah hasn't logged quite yet.
Okay, that's fine. So let's go ahead and start staff reports and then we'll come back. So Rama, if you'd like to join us.
Good evening, Council. Today's the first day of Lunar New Year, so happy Lunar New Year. The only thing I have to add to my report is that this morning, bright and early, WCCLS, Washington County Cooperative Library Service, IT staff came out and installed brand new Wi-Fi equipment, broadband equipment in the library. So the new Wi-Fi doodads, you know, and then a new server in the server room. So we were the first member library to get the new equipment. And that was this morning.
All right, council, any questions? I'd also just like to recognize that Robin got to be there to accept a very large check with the city in front of the library, which was pretty fun. And hosted Representative Von Meach.
Yeah. She her staff requested a library tour and we were happy to do that.
As you should. Well, thank you.
Mhm.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on to public safety.
Good evening, Mayor and City Councilors. I don't have anything to add to my report, although I just want to take the opportunity to introduce Sergeant Eamon O'Reilly, who's agreed to step in and fill the role of interim police chief while on my temporary hiatus, working back at the county as a patrol lieutenant, which takes effect February 22nd. So with that, I just want to give Sergeant O'Reilly a chance to introduce himself, say hi to council, and then we'll take any questions you may have.
Good evening, council. My name's David O'Reilly. I've worked for the sheriff's office since 2004. I got hired at corrections originally. I worked in corrections for just under 4 years before going to the patrol division in 2008. Since being in the patrol division, I've done a number of tasks, but currently I've been on the SWAT team since 2012. Still currently a member of the SWAT team. I'm an assistant team lead and squad leader of the SWAT team. I was a member of the K9 team for a little over 10 years. And still at this time, I supervise the K9 team. And I've been a sergeant for about 11 years. And currently, as of this moment, a sergeant. And I appreciate the opportunity. I'm excited to explore this opportunity and to build relationships with a welcoming community like Blake's. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. Council? Well, I'll just say welcome. You got big shoes to fill. No, we do appreciate Chief Jones, but we're looking forward to working with you, and I'm sure that it's going to be a great relationship. So welcome, and we're looking forward to having you at some events in public so people can get to meet you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Up next is Works.
Good evening, Council. Dustin Lucanati, Public Works Director. I don't have much to add to the report I gave to you, except for an update on one thing. We did sell our first vehicle on Gov Deals. The bid shot up at the last minute, and we sold one of our trucks for $4,200. And so we have more vehicles and equipment to sell, and so that's a good way to recoup some of the money and get rid of some junk that we have around in our yards. So another couple of points that I wanted to just kind of remind council of. One would be just a reminder that we have a ADA ramp improvement project that was approved by this the council budget session for this budget cycle at the corner of 313th and Commercial. And so there is going to be ADA ramp improvements, and that's also going to realign some parking that's going to be there. And that's been something that's been in the works for a couple of years now. Also, another point, it's not just for council, but for in general for the public, that if you're going to be doing work in the right of way, our code does say that you must have and obtain a right of way permit before doing work in the right of way. As far as that, the reason for that being is to make sure that there's no conflicts with utilities or infrastructure that is in the ground. And also importantly, there may be future infrastructure projects that are going on. And make sure that there's no conflict with future infrastructure projects as well. So that's important for people in general. Do not do any work in the right of way unless you obtain a permit first. Other than that, I don't have any other comments at this time.
Councilor Reddy.
I just wanted to extend a congratulations to Cody for passing the specialist training.
Well deserved too.
Great. I just want to say the GOA brush cleanup looks great. Is your team taking out the houses, or is that going to be separate?
That is going to be part of the as well. That's going to be part of an additional phase.
Okay.
The phases that we're looking at right now are the brush clearing, which is finishing up right now. Then there's going to be the tearing down of the houses, and then we're going to be looking at, I think, the barn removal potentially. And one of the last phases is gonna be the ultimate mitigation of the soil.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be kind of a multi-year, potentially phased project.
Okay, yeah, my wife mentioned it when we were driving by and it looks much better. Although I did kind of get attached to it, but it's nice to see it clean. Look good. Thank you. Great job. Keep going.
I have one.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry.
Council Papen, I just wanted to, yes, congratulate, and say thank you for the GOA project. It's starting to really come along. I had a couple quick questions. One, I just wanted to make sure I heard you correctly that the crosswalk improvements were 313th in commercial or 314th in commercial?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's at 314th in commercial.
So 314, so right where the senior center is in that intersection?
Correct.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Sorry about the confusion. Yes, it is 314th, not 313th.
Thank you. All right, Rowan from Plain.
Thank you, Mayor. I do not have much to add to my report. I would like to clarify quickly that there was communication between staff and the applicant for the North Plains Food Bank design review, both during their review process and during subsequent code enforcement processes, about staff's intention to establish a public loading zone near their building. We had initially scoped that it would be appropriate to locate that on 314th Avenue. Upon further review of the safety conditions and the conditions of the parking, as well as the future ADA improvements to that intersection, it was determined that the safer option would be to locate that loading zone on Northwest Commercial Street and convert the existing angle parking to parallel parking. So that is something that was reevaluated to better serve public safety. That's the only thing I'll add to my report this evening. Thank you.
Any questions?
Counselor Weber, the change, was that gone over and discussed with the food bank after that change was made?
We notified the food bank via email prior to any changes being put on the ground once that decision was made. They were notified, I believe, on January 22nd that we would be locating the loading zone on Northwest Commercial Street.
But was there discussion about the idea of changing it from the street to the commercial?
It was a staff decision.
Okay.
Any other? Go ahead.
Can I clarify?
Okay, just state your name, please. Sorry.
Yep.
AI.
Counselor DeForge, for Laura to appeal this process, what process should she follow so that she can execute a correct appeal?
I would have to defer to our legal counsel because there is not necessarily a land use decision being appealed in this case.
Okay, anything else? Councilor Payton.
Counselor Papen, I just wanted to ask if, again, just to make sure I'm understanding correctly, that the change in the loading zone is now on Commercial Street, and it sounds like, based on some public testimony, that there's some concern for traffic. And I was curious if there's any sort of, the correct word I'm looking for here, but some sort of traffic calming mitigation we can put into place just to make it safer if that is the only suitable loading zone, such as, I'm thinking through like on Pacific Street near the GOA, there's those posts that define a pedestrian path. Is there anything like that that's applicable in this scenario to make it safer?
Yes, we are aware of the traffic safety concerns on Northwest Commercial. We hear that somewhat regularly from involved residents. In our downtown improvement plan, it is scoped to significantly change the nature of Northwest Commercial Street in downtown. However, we don't have any adopted interim measures at this time. That is something between Public Works Planning and Public Safety that could be explored in the future, interim measures to increase pedestrian safety. Yes.
Okay, and if the applicant wanted to propose something, is that possible? Or, I understand it's it's proposed and kind of in the works, but I'm just thinking in the short term, if there's any other options we could consider.
It would depend on department capacity and would be an interdepartmental project, so I would have to get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you.
So I think from what I'm hearing from Council Papen, maybe if we could get a, if you get back to us by maybe his next council meeting, okay? Rowan Bill, is that?
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, just with an idea, an options, let's say. Is that kind of where you're hoping for?
Yeah, I think just trying to think through outside of the box approaches, because I absolutely see both sides. And so just thinking through maybe a short-term solution that can accommodate now, and then obviously there's a bigger picture for the downtown opportunity area or improvement area. So yes, if you have any other best practices or ideas, I'd love to hear those at the next meeting.
Of course.
Seems like a reasonable compromise. Thank you. Next, anything from 3J? Brian?
I don't think he's gonna be here tonight. I don't
Okay. Anybody have any questions of 3J? Since they're not here, you can ask questions. I just want to answer them. Okay, next up I have, is she on? Do we want to skip to the auditor or do we want to go back to finance? It's up to you.
I don't see.
She's apparently not on yet.
Well, we'll move to finance.
And I don't have an email in from her expressing distress at not being able to get in, so I think it's just. She's not quite there yet.
Okay, so we'll move to finance.
Finance is fine. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you, Mayor. Okay, so I don't have anything to add to the finance staff report. Before you, I would just kind of point out that as it's described in the report, that this does include just kind of a snapshot of where we are on our capital funds and the kind of the special funds that we have. Those other funds don't have our capital funds and our special funds don't have a ton of spending activity to date. Unlike our operating funds, the general fund, the street fund, the water fund, we have 5 now, just the Maze Fund and the buildings grounds and maintenance fund. Those funds spend money every day. And so that's why they end up representing, they're always in every staff report, every finance staff report every month, because there's always things to be following and tracking and reporting. The capital funds themselves, though, aren't as active, and so they haven't been showing up in the reports often. And unlike last year, or unlike even 2 years ago, when we had a number of big capital projects going, we would report quarterly on those things, but those funds haven't been doing much of anything lately. They're kind of in holding pattern for some projects to start. And so they kind of providing detailed information about them hasn't really been a focus so far, but here they are. And if you have any questions about them, please do ask. One thing I did want to do before I turn it over to questions, if you had any, is there seemed to be some misunderstandings expressed or some false information expressed about a lack of existence of monthly finance reports that the city produces going back years. And I don't know where they're getting that idea, if they're looking for a place on the website and there isn't the city website and there isn't a single place where all of the monthly financial reports are stored. But every month, as long as I've been here, and I think before that, when the consultant was sort of doing staff reports, there's been a monthly staff report for finance. And it is focused largely on how the different how the different operating funds are spending their money compared to budget every month, so that there's review every month to report to you about any issues. And then you all can hear that, and then city council also can kind of see the progress each month on where we are on expenditures versus budget. And that's been the focus of the staff reports, because how we spend versus budget, going over, having to come back to you if there's need for a supplemental budget, if we're having issues, having you authorize things to be done with contingency funds or whatever, if something special comes up. Tracking and reporting and being concerned about expenditures versus budget is kind of the focus of budget law in Oregon. And so that's why that's the focus for these. So after visiting with Emily Matasar about the finance reports, the last thing I'll leave you with is If you have any questions and after any questions, it would be good to hear from you if the information in these monthly reports that you've been getting isn't quite what you want, or you want something different, or you want something more frequently, we can do that. This has just been, this has kind of been what's asked for over the years and what the emphasis has been. But I just want to let you know, what you want to see is what you want to see. And, we're happy to do that, really. But anyway, there are financial, I think for the public, what's missing or not easy to see is that these reports are in the agenda packet every month. So unless you look at the city council agenda packet, or you listen to the city council meeting, or you happen to hear this, going and looking for this isn't necessarily the easiest thing for a resident to find, but we discuss it every month. You all review it every month. And so they are there, and they have been there, and I hope the public understands and feels a little bit better about they have been going on. Maybe they're just not as easy to find as some other things on the website. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Council, any questions? Okay. Thank you, Bill. Anything from the auditor?
Sure. No, she needs to speak up before everything. Not on yet, I'm afraid. Sorry
Okay.
about that.
Let's just keep moving, and then if we have to, we will come back.
Sure.
Not 8 o'clock.
Oh, good question. I coached her to show up no earlier than 7:20. I figured the public comment tonight might push it to 7:25. So when she wasn't on by 7:30, I'm like, it's my fault, because I expected, I thought public comment might go a little longer. But now that we're at 7:36, I'm feeling less at fault. So anyway, we can keep going if you like, Mayor.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So let's see, sorry, unfinished business, UGB PAC meeting update and council representative discussion. So I believe the reason we put this on, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, council or staff, is because we wanted to continue to make sure that we are giving direction to Mark, who's our representative to the PAC, UGB PAC, and also that he is giving us reports. I don't think he has reports since they haven't met, unless he wants to share more of the meeting.
I would like to share a little bit more.
Okay, well, then he would like to share more.
Thank you, sir. Councilor DeForge. So what I would like to do is a quick recap. Is the last time we discussed, what I would say is we created 2 buckets for TGM feedback. It's community impact and fiscal impact. The community impact, we thought about crime, utility rates, traffic. Under fiscal impact, we're thinking about how to make sure that whatever infrastructure we develop, North Plains can pay for with our low tax rates. Clarify assumptions on if things don't work out, who pays for what. And Councilor Weber has a passion for getting into very specifics around fiscal models of impact from future users. So I've captured all that. I'm going to incorporate it into the next PAC meeting that's coming up next month. I wanted to suggest 3 more buckets for your consideration. So the first one is zoning. And what I want to suggest is that the council get consensus to see if when you expand a UGB and if you don't have your codes in order, you could run risk of your new users are using land in a way that you don't want. So I was going to suggest sequencing is going to be an important concept, is that you get your codes organized before you implement UGB expansions. And I just wanted to pause right there and see if that was consistent with what you guys are thinking.
Go ahead, Councilor Payton.
I'm open, this is Councilor Payton. I'm open to that idea. I think the risk that we run into is, what does that timeline look like for us to get our codes in order? Is that under a year? Is that within 3 years? I think that's the question I have.
So I will add to this, all zoning goes through planning commission, of course. The problem is, and this is after many conversations with Rowan and planning commission. The way that our zoning is now leads to some undesired outcomes, let's say. Things that aren't zoned the way that planning commission intended, or the council intended, or the previous councils intended. So I concur with Council Papen, this, it may take time, but I also think that that is something important. And we did do a work session with planning commission, so it would be good. I think it's critical, at least to get something done on zoning, because I think that's been a problem after talking with Chair King from planning commission and Rowan from staff. My impression is that our zoning is incredibly outdated. And it is not clear and objective, and everything should be clear and objective, in my opinion.
Thank you, sir.
That's my 2 cents.
Understood. Next bucket I wanted to propose for you guys.
Hold on, I think you have another.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Weber. Go ahead.
Councilor Weber, I was just gonna add from being at the first meeting. I think council has to give a little more clarity of where we're at. I was aware just being at the meeting when I shared some cautions about being ready to approve 550 acres. There was kind of some pushback that they thought we were much closer to being on board with that than I'm not sure we are. So I think it's very important that we get a better understanding, and that would take more time, obviously, than tonight, is where are we as a group at? Because otherwise it's very awkward when you're at that meeting and you don't have a clear sense. There's a very clear momentum from the relook I was part of and this current group that 550 acre expansion is the way to go. And there's a lot of energy towards doing that. If in fact council is much more cautious about doing that, and in fact has some other things like we said, the codes and things. Anyway, I just think it might be good for us to have a little better sense where we're at. And I think that would perhaps lead to less tensions in some of these discussions. Again, that would have to happen in some other form.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Oh, Councilor Papen.
Councilor Papen, I just wanted to clarify, Councilor Weber's comment. Are you looking for a consensus of council's approach towards expansion and next steps? Is that so that you can relay that to the public, or what is it exactly that you're looking for?
Councilor Weber, just a little more clarity of where we're at. The vast majority of those presenting at these neighborhood meetings and everywhere I attend are saying, we're here to convince you that growth is good. Specifically, they direct towards the 550 we think is a good idea. So there's a very clear tenor of the purpose of that is to bring the city on board with the 550 acres. If we are not as enthusiastic as that presentation is, I think we need to be a little more forward and honest about where are we in that, because I think I hear more caution among some of the members, and we just need, I think, in the spirit of honesty and transparency, to kind of unload that a little.
Can I just make a comment? Thank you. It's my opinion, and you can take it for what it's worth, that council should be open and should, we're all gonna have our opinion, but we should be open to the discussion, because we can't vote on anything until planning commission brings it to us. So my perspective is, until I see something from planning commission, I've already told them I want the codes updated, as have all the other counselors at the time. So I'm not sure that any of us should be forming any type of a significant opinion. That's, again, is my perspective, but we should be open-minded and directing planning commission to do their piece, and directing staff and UGB PAC to do their piece, and present us with options, because until we know what we're voting on, we can't say what we're for or against it. It's kind of like saying, I can't use use that term. I was gonna say I was for it before. I was against it, but that'd probably get me in trouble. You know, I would just caution the council. I guess my suggestion is I would caution the council against having preconceived notions. Our job is to adjudicate what comes before us, not to try to politic. I guess that's my suggestion.
Counselor Pippen, I think that was really the direction I was also leaning towards is my assumption and my expectation as members of the council representing us at the PAC meetings is that you're remaining neutral and that we are just sponges. We are absorbing community feedback and relaying information in a neutral manner. And so I just wanted to clarify that that is the intent and that we are remaining neutral and not saying we're leaning one way or the other, but really just absorbing information and repeating it back verbatim, both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, thank you, Councilor Pippen. I would say, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to do, and I'm open to feedback if I'm not doing it, but I try and get your guys' feedback and make sure that it's represented at the PAC, whether it's my personal opinion or not. I'll advocate for your right to hear options. And just to circle back to Councilor Weber, looking at the website, so we are going to have a PAC meeting on March and April. We will have alternative concept development and analysis in the March and April timeframe, draft concept plans in the April through May timeframe, and final concept plan is in the June timeframe. So that's kind of where we are now. I think we're in a good position in that we're thinking about this early and we have lots of opportunity to weigh in and shape it. I did want to move on to the next thing, and I'll try and wrap this up quickly, Mayor, is, let's see here. The diplomatic way to put this is not this project, but you could have situations where you're presented with options. And the options are horrible, not so horrible, and the least bad. And then you're given the choice, you have to choose the least bad because that is the choice you're given. And so what I wanted to make sure that you guys have an opportunity to say is, are there parameters to the options that you would like to see? And just to spitball ideas here, you could ask for a fiscally conservative option. You could ask for a slower growth option. You could ask for a farmland retention option. I'm trying to give you ideas that maybe those are things that you could request that I look for out of the PAC so that when things come to you, those options are consistent with what you wanted.
Counselor Hagedorn here. If we wanted to think about this and let it sit for a while, when would we need to give you our opinion on this? And how should we be giving you, Counselor DeForge, our opinion on this?
So I'll say, the way you should be doing it is in council. So that way there's no risk of any deliberation accidentally happening over email. And by how soon, I believe that'd be up to Councilor DeForge, but I would say probably what I was going to suggest is maybe that's something that we, since this is an ongoing unfinished business item, could be discussed at the next.
Yeah, I would recommend that, in general, the way the project works is the more that you shape it at the beginning, the more options you have. We will have another council meeting March 2nd, which I think is enough time before the next PAC meeting. So I think you guys have plenty of time to ponder these thoughts and can get back to me with feedback. And the last.
Hold on a second. Councilor Pippen. Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. The last concept I'd like to leave you guys with, I'm hoping for consensus, is just a simple statement that the council is the decider. You guys have the right to make the choice. No one else does.
I would say that, yes, that is the, under the law, that's, unless Emily corrects me, I believe that is the process as it's been explained to me, and we can follow up on that, but, yes, I believe under Oregon land use, it goes from Pat to staff to planning commission to council, correct? Like that, yeah. It's a flow chart.
Thank you, sir. I think that concludes what I had planned.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Any other questions for Councilor DeForge or comments or insults? Okay, do we have the auditor? We have the auditor, all right. So we are going to go back to item number 7, Umpqua Valley Financial City Audit Presentation.
Savannah, I believe you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, I want to start by saying thank you guys for having me on. I do know that you guys have had some questions when it comes to audit related, explanations, details, how audits work, where the city is standing with theirs. And I did provide this PowerPoint. If you want to give me permission, I can kind of go through and walk through mine. If you guys want to keep yours up, that's fine too. But really, I just created this today to kind of show you, not in a huge amount of detail, that makes it a little bit hard to read and pay attention to, but leave enough detail, but summarize really what the work and the scope of the audit is. So if you go to that second slide there, we have the scope of financial statement audit. So really, this will explain to you, again, not in so much detail, more summarized, but giving enough detail, our job as auditors, what we look for in the audit, why we audit. So again, this is just for you to kind of read and see all that we do in it, and that's all this PowerPoint is as well. So when we did submit our proposal to the city, when they sent out their RFP to hopefully gain auditors for their prior year audits to try to get caught up, we sent this proposal in, which also had a scope of work listed out for you guys and administration, whoever was the sole approver of the proposal. We listed that information so that you guys can know, what we're doing, how we're doing it, when we're doing it, what we're required to do from state, and so on. So you guys were, to my knowledge, given a PDF copy of this PowerPoint, as well as I do know that 2 council members that I know of had some questions that Bill sent my way. I did send our responses to him, so hoping that you guys have that as well to kind of clarify some of those questions. So we'll get into that a little bit after. And then if you go to the next slide, this is just a continued explanation of certain areas that we work on, requirements from the state. A lot of these requirements and articles are listed on the Oregon Secretary of State website. So if there is anything that you want to go more in depth on, if there's any, research, there's a big rabbit hole you can go down. So if that ever is something that you guys would like to do, I can send you some links. It's pretty easy to navigate their website, so they make it very easily accessible to gain even more detail about audits. But as far as the city goes, as you guys know, the city is quite a few years behind in their audits. So we in our proposal propose fees, prices, which I listed in our responses to those certain questions from those 2 council members, which was also in the proposal, so that had to be accepted by council and administration and whoever you guys deem to approve that. The proposal did state only 2 years, but after, talking with administration, and getting our feet set in the sand, we decided to send out contracts and engagement letters, for 2 years following that as well, to kind of, be there and helping you guys, get as current as possible, as fast as we can. So again, this is just kind of explaining, um, where we issue reports, what reports we issue, how we assist. So typically with our audit clients, we help them prepare the financial statements. So this means that we do a lot of the work. Obviously, school districts, cities, special districts, they will do their own books, but we put the financial statements together. So this is everything that makes up the audit report that we submit to Secretary of State. For North Plains, we had a recent conversation with Matt, who is your guys' sort of registered agent, who the city contracts through to help you with your books. We've had the pleasure of meeting with him and Bill, and a couple other gals on the team to kind of, keep the ball rolling, get updates going. So this was explained in a meeting we had a couple of weeks ago, that the city is doing their own financial statements. So this means basically what happens, to kind of summarize it, is instead of you guys giving us these reports, year-end balances for each fund, we wrap everything together. The city does that themselves. So they send us this big financial statements with all their notes. We review it and match it to the documentation that we have, and then align it with our reports, send any questions we have, and then take that and finalize it. So while that seems like the city is doing most of the work, which the city is doing more work than typically any other city, there is still a lot of background work for us to do. Every single number, every single note in there, every single fund balance, we have to go through and get backup documentation in order to know where the city is getting their numbers from. What debts, what assets do they have? We have to gain all this backup documentation, create numerous amount of work papers to file with the state. So it's still quite a bit of work that we have to do, just to make that clear. So it's not like, the city's saying, here's the report, look at it and file it. That way, if you guys have questions like, oh, well, why are we paying you so much then? But like I said, Matt has been helping with that. And to my knowledge, he has been helping for quite a while now. And so it's nice to have, him and Bill working together, who know the city, who've worked with the city for as long as they have, and to hopefully try to help us get you guys caught up to date. So, if you want to go to that next slide. So I'm not sure if any of you have heard of this, researched it, know about it, but there are quite a few, especially after COVID, entities who require a single audit. So as it says here, a single audit is required when an entity expends more than $750,000 of federal awards. So in the city's case, after reviewing the information we've received, we have found that they will be a single audit, at least for the first fiscal year that we're auditing. What this means is it is an extremely significant amount of information that we have to do on top of finalizing the financial statements with the city. This requires more work on the city's side, which once we go through the financial statements that were sent to us, I believe on the 12th of this month, we will go through that, and then we dive into the single audit. So what comes with this is a lot of inquiries, a lot of requests on grants, where they came from, backup documentation, where was this spent, how was this spent, prove that you spent it, kind of stuff. And then at the end, Just to summarize it, we submit that single audit with the audit report to Secretary of State, and then the single audit gets sent directly to Federal Audit Clearinghouse. So this will keep you guys in action to receive more grants. The longer you go without an audit, without reporting your funds and everything going on in the city, that is when the grantors will not lend you money. So this is why we are trying to get the city up and going. We do know that there were some struggles. I don't know necessarily with staff or just, some things that domino effect with the city that led them to be as far behind as they are. But like I said, it is our goal to get you guys going. First year contracted with clients obviously takes a little bit longer just because you're knowing how they work. You're going into this information that you've never seen before on that entity. And then obviously with the city being so far behind, there are a lot of additional questions that we have as far as, maybe us not getting the right information for something and then having to, help Bill or Matt locate it or go into detail and me about exactly what we're talking about and just keeping that communication open for you guys. Council also, if you guys have questions, Bill can give you my information. We can meet, I can jump on another meeting, we can email, whatever it needs to be. That way you guys feel like you are kept in the loop throughout this process. And if you want to go to that next slide. So once you guys do receive, which I understand there are new council members from when the last audit was filed, which we were not the auditors for. So this is just for you to really hang on to when we do get that first report out. Of course, we will present it to the council. We typically do that for all the clients that request for us to do that. But this kind of summarizes, what you're looking at, why you're looking at it, why it's in there. That way you're not completely lost. So this is a good thing to look at before our presentations. And then you guys will also get a copy of the audit reports prior to the presentations and council meeting. That way you guys can gather any questions that you have beforehand and you weren't put on the spot when looking at this. As far as the status of the city's audits right now, as you know, we have not completed any. Again, this is, to my knowledge, with being, first main communication with between the city and my staff. There were quite a few hurdles and issues that cause the city to be behind, which we're trying to, this is why we do our walkthroughs. This is why we ask, related party and fraud inquiries. This is why we ask, the council eventually will send inquiries and say, hey, did any of this happen within the city? Just to kind of gain a better understanding of the way the city has worked and, for lack of better words, what went wrong. Not that anybody was doing anything significantly bad, but just to kind of get a whole grasp on, what's going on, what can we do to help? Let's get these out the door. So with that first year, we are close to done. I did have a meeting with Jean Larson. She works for our office. She is one of our senior managers or senior accountants. She works closely with grants and single audits. So she was actually going through for about 4 or 5 hours today, just kind of diving into what we have for you guys, confirming that you will be a single audit. And there will be quite a few follow-up questions regarding the stuff that we've received. We did receive quite a few things recently as far as debt, payroll, grants go. There are, quite a few things that we're still needing, but we just haven't gotten to that point yet. And now that the city is, getting the ball rolling, they are, have their feet in the sand and they know, okay, now it's time to go. We have the right staff. Everybody is, knows what they're doing. Matt's helping, which is going to ultimately speed up the process for them and for us. Like I said, for that first year, let me see if I can. For 21-22, we just got the financial statements for us to begin reviewing on the 12th of February. Again, this is not to throw anyone under the bus as far as, Bill and Matt go. This is just, one of the parts to say, okay, this is where we're gonna start. Once we have this, we can, put all the other puzzle pieces together, and it'll be a lot easier come 22-23. So we do have the team working on that. They were notified as soon as we received the information. And then of course, as we go through audits, if, any auditor, as you're going through an audit, something will pop up and you'll have to request this additional information. As you're reviewing this, a question will arise. So, we just like to, make it a point that, hey, just because we keep asking questions or we keep asking for information, it's not necessarily because we are behind or we are putting on the back burner or we're just not paying attention. It's simply just as we review this portion, these things are now coming up and we know we need them. We know we need to ask questions. And I believe that I'm pretty good with keeping up with communications. Obviously, Bill and Matt can speak to how they feel about that, but it's been a good working relationship so far. They're easy to work with, easy to talk to, very respectful, know what they're doing. So, and they've notified me, when they say, hey, it's going to take a minute for us to get this stuff, or hey, thanks for being patient, we're working on it. And so, it's been really nice to have that. Do you guys have, I guess we can kind of go down the line of any questions that you guys have for me?
So, Councilor DeForge.
Yeah, thank you. Councilor DeForge here, just to clarify, the URA, is that in scope for these audits?
Yep, it is. So in our proposal that we submitted, we also did the 2 years for the URA and then signed those engagement letters and contracts for the 2 following years after that, as well as the city.
Okay.
I'll have more questions, but I'll give everyone.
All right, Councilor Redding.
Councilor Redding here. Were there any major findings, repeat issues, or unresolved findings so far?
I can't speak to the finals. We aren't done with the audit and we haven't completed the single audit. So the single audit portion is typically where we see the most findings if there are any. When I did speak to Jean today, she did want me to relay that she does believe there will be findings. As to how many, most likely more than 3. For single audit, those are significant findings, but it's nothing that you can't correct. So when we do find, findings, material misstatements, something like that, we will address it to, administration that we're talking to. We will always let you guys know, that way you don't, get this put in front of your face. You're like, well, no one told me that we had these issues going on. So during a presentation, we talk about that, and then we do what's called a corrective action plan. So we list out, okay, these were the findings, this is how they need to be corrected, and, this person, so Bill would most likely sign, and if not, someone else of administration or board or, council chair or whatever, but they sign it and say, okay, yep, I've read this. We agree to have these corrected in this way, and then that gets submitted to the state and to Federal Audit Clearinghouse, so they can recognize that you guys are going to, from here on out, put those in place and get the city, back to perfect working grounds.
Thank you. Were there any internal controls weaknesses?
There are some weaknesses in internal controls. As to the details, these were talked about during our field work that took place on site. Again, this does fold with the ending of the audit. So this is the internal control weaknesses that will be part of the findings. And this will be relayed to people prior to us submitting, prior to, you know, us putting you on the spot. I do know that one of the internal control weaknesses that will be noted is just the lack of organization that we, you know, have expressed or talked about. And this is, you know, in the fact of, okay, these people left, now we have to find where all this stuff is, and not having, you know, said this person does this person does this, it's kind of with just one person. And so that's when it gets kind of messy. As for any other internal control weaknesses, there could be some, yes. But like I said, until we get to that final, you know, single audit phase, we won't have every single finding until that report is finalized and given to administration.
Understood. Thank you.
Mhm.
I have more, but do we want to like give everybody a turn?
Sure. Councilor Weber?
A timeline question for
Mhm.
you. In preparation for this, I was just kind of going back over, because you had mentioned the contract submission in 3 of 23. What I found kind of going through the old minutes was it stated that in 11/23, it was stated that the city had hired Umpqua as our auditor. We anticipated that Umpqua would begin audit number 2022 in January of 24, and then 2023 would take place shortly after that. And then I just kind of went through every month. We have finance reports, and each one would restate with the help of Umpqua and Marina throughout the year 2024. We hope to get 2 done. We were aiming for 3. That narrative went on throughout 2024, and then it was announced we actually weren't able to get any. Then in 25, it was announced with Umpqua and Marina's help, we would do 2 for sure in 25. And the months again went by, there was delays, people were busy. So, and then when I hear you talk tonight, it sounds like you're almost talking like a new company that just started with the city. So I just want clarity, like what was your role in 2024 and 2025 with that contract that was referred to? I'm just trying to get some clarity.
Yeah, understood. So, you know, one of the reasons being when we first contracted, this is, you know, one of those internal control weaknesses is, you know, it was almost as, you know, new client. We're gathering how you guys work also, but finding, you know, Bill finding those people to help him, or you know, Matt trying to get this information together that he is also working with the city. They're giving him information. So as they give him information, he works on the financial statements. Then we get items from him. Of course, that's not to say that city doesn't provide things also, but it did take quite a long time for us to get all of the information that we needed for that first year. And again, that's not even all the information yet. We have the single audit, and we can't do anything without financial statements. And those, again, were just given to us on the 12th of this month, for the 21-22 year. So, now that we have those, we can, you know, go through, we've received bank statements, we've received debt documents, we've received grant documents, lease documents, all that stuff. But unless we have the financial statements, we cannot complete a report. So while we're doing all the background work on all of our work papers, that's not something we can submit to the state. It's not an audit report. And so it's gathering those financial statements from the client that will help us progress forward in filing. And we didn't receive those until this month.
Councilor Hager?
Yes.
Counselor Paper.
Counselor Pittman, I know it's hard to have a crystal ball, but could you give a general time frame of when the single audit would be complete?
So a single audit typically is complete. So just to put this in perspective, obviously this isn't what's going on with the city. The audits are usually just the regular audit is complete by 12/31, and then the single audit has a due date of March 31st. That's how much longer the single audit takes to be completed. So, this is depending on how many findings there are. If documentation still can't be found by the city, if, we see any imbalances in the financial statements, like you said, I don't have a crystal ball, but I do know that we do want to get 21, 22 out as soon as possible. And now that we do have those financial statements, it takes typically 30 to 45 days, barring any complications, findings, stuff like that, to pull an audit report together. But since we don't do the financial statements, it could take less time. And then at that point, we say, okay, this audit report is ready for you to review. You can review it, we can file it, and then we can continue working on that single audit. And once that's done, we resubmit with the state, Federal Audit Clearinghouse, and you're good to go. But single audits, there is a reason why the state, or anywhere else extends those to March 31 after the 12/31 deadline. So, again, now that we've received the financial statements, we've been working on things. We've had multiple items come up that we've requested, that have been, coming in. So there's going to be much more detail to request, but it's going to go a lot faster now.
Okay. Counselor Ford.
Councilor DeForge here. First, I want to say just thank you for helping out the city. We're really looking forward to getting back on track and appreciate your help. Let me ask you, do you think that we have the right resources as a city to deliver the audits to support your work? Do you think we need to hire additional resources, or do we have what we need?
At the beginning of contracting with the city, I would have said yes up and down that you would need more resources, just because, we weren't, and again, this is not, throwing Bill under the bus, isn't saying anything, bad towards the city. We just weren't getting the information. We weren't getting, we were getting communication, but we just weren't getting information. It was a 1-2-man ball game, and, city things come up. Certain things during council meetings come up that need to be addressed as soon as possible. And so when that happens, audits get pushed to the side and they don't get done. Which again falls into a loss of organization. You forget after the years go by what things are, where they got put. After a recent conversation, me and my CPA met with Matt and Bill, and 2 other people, which was new, that are helping gather that information. So it has gone, it's gotten significantly better since contracting. And that was a meeting that we had, within the last couple weeks. So, I do think I can't confidently say that you guys don't need more resources, because more resources is never a bad thing. But I've already seen improvement, but until I, get response like this, when we ask questions and when we need information, I can't speak too much to that, but during the beginning of our contracting up until, a couple weeks ago, I would have said, yes, definitely the city needs more resources.
Thank you. Just hearing what I've heard from the mayor and other councilor members, we're willing to devote resources to solving this problem. So I think whatever it takes for the team to be successful, the council would like to support that. Let me ask you one.
Yeah.
let me ask you one more question. I think maintaining this high performance that you've been talking about in the last couple weeks is really important. I'd like to get visibility into our performance. So I think I'd like to request a recurring agenda item where Savannah could come and participate until the audits are back up to current. And so you could share status, and if there are any problems that need council support, what would my fellow councilors think of that?
Before you answer, Savannah, can you answer, is that in the scope of the current contract, or would that be an additional cost?
Ideally, it's not something that we do. But given this, where the city stands, no extra costs for you.
Okay, so now I'll give it back to council. Sorry, I just like to know what I'm gonna say before I say it.
Yeah, of course, understood.
I do enjoy spending your money. Sorry about that.
I know.
So I thought I did hear that that's something you would be willing to support, and I really appreciate that help. And so if,
Yeah. So let's,
yeah,
Councilor Redding, yes, no, Councilor Weber? Yeah. Councilor Bailey? Councilor, all right, I'm gonna say yes, consensus. So Bill, let's add her as a regular unfinished business agenda, item, please. Thank you.
no more questions.
I sound like an attorney. Councilor Redding.
I think a lot of the rest of my questions can follow up.
Okay.
So this doesn't drag on.
So if there are no other questions, Savannah, thank you for coming. That's a lot of information, and as much as everyone loves a good audit, we're very grateful that people like you are proficient at this and can make the rest of us at least reasonably able to understand what you're doing. We appreciate it, and we will look forward to hearing from you on the next council meeting, and let us know if there's anything we can do to help unstick things, but it sounds like we are at the point of making some progress.
Yep, perfect. Yeah, it was a pleasure talking with you guys, giving more insight on what we're doing and where we're at. And if you have any questions in the meantime before the next meeting, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And like I said, we can email back and forth. We can hop on a call, whatever it takes to keep you guys in the loop.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll go ahead and wrap up that item of business. Next, we'll go back to unfinished business. But before we do that, I'm going to say we're going to take a 5-minute recess because it's been a lot of sitting, and I don't want any of our potential new counselors to try to stand up and then have a dead leg. That'd be horrible to have to interview. So with that, we'll be adjourned for 5 minutes. Please be back in your seats at 8:27. Hey, council meeting back in session. So we're going to continue on, and before we continue, I will just give a quick reminder to everyone of how this process will work. Ironically, we're rather familiar with it, so there should be no more questions. So we will call up the candidates one at a time, which we have a V, a W, and a Z as the last names. I don't know how this happened. It took me a couple times of reading through to make sure I had this right. So we'll call them up alphabetically by last name. They'll come up, they can introduce themselves, and then we will go down the line. So Councilor Pavin, if you're okay, I'll just start with you, and we'll go down, skip me. Okay. And each of you will ask one of the questions on the agenda pack, or not agenda packet, application packet, sorry. If you have another question you'd like to ask, please wait till the end, counselors, but please keep those super limited. Let's try to stick to the script. And I would invite the candidates to answer in the way that they feel best reflects their qualifications or personality or whatever you would like to say. And what did we say? We said 2 minutes per, right? Or was it
10 total?
10 total minutes. We'll try to keep each one to 10 total minutes so we can all get home and get to bed before midnight. And at the end of it, I will just remind everyone, I am not a voting member for appointments. I only break ties, and with 5, if there's a tie, we're going to recount because that's ridiculous. but I would also like to, in advance, thank all the candidates. I understand, this is a, only three enter, one exits. Is it okay to say stuff like that? But, at the end of the day, we live in a small town. We should all be friends and we should all like each other somewhat occasionally. But also just remember there are elections coming up. So if you're really passionate about being on council, that's also another opportunity. And I think you actually need to apply in July, if I recall correctly. But I'll make sure I get an announcement out about that on the mayor page, as well as I'm sure the staff will put something out. So with that, and then voting. Voting will be done by paper ballot. Ron will hand out the ballots to the council. Council will vote for one. Prior to that, we'll actually do a nomination process. I apologize, each councilor can either nominate or second. And I will go down until we're out of nominations. Anyone who receives a nomination, a second, will be on the ballot. Anyone who does not will be asked to come back in September for the election. And with that, then we'll do the voting. So with that, let's go ahead and invite Tara Van Dyke, if you'd like to come up to the podium. And Councilor Payton will be asking the first question. But I'll ask Tara if she would please introduce herself to the council.
Tara Van Dyke, and I live within the city limits.
Hi, Tara. Can you tell us why you would like to serve on the city council?
Yeah, so North Plains is at a critical point with growth and financial decisions, as you all are aware, that will shape our community for decades to come. After attending an urban growth boundary discussion, it became clear to me that thoughtful analysis, transparency, and long-term vision are essential as we move forward. I was born and raised here, and I went to school here, and my children did as well. Now, as I think of my grandchildren enjoying the parks and schools, I find myself reflecting on how much this city means to me. My grandfather, Frank Wing, as many of you may know, served on the city council, and there's even a park named in his honor, a daily reminder of the legacy of service that runs in my family. I care deeply not only about where North Plains is headed, but also about honoring and respecting where we've come from. This is a community built on hard work, connection, and pride, and I want to help ensure it continues to grow responsibly and sustainably. Finally, I also want to recognize and commend the current city council for the recent $2 million infrastructure award. Great job. That's a tremendous accomplishment and reflects the kind of diligent, forward-thinking work that I would be proud to help continue.
What can you tell us about the most important issues facing North Plains?
So ensuring community growth is thoughtful, well-planned, and supported by long-term financial stability. Aligning development with the city's capacity to fund infrastructure and essential services, as you were all discussing this evening. Maintaining timely audits, as we all were discussing, accurate financial reporting, and strong grant management. One thing that I would suggest to ask the auditors is, what are they still missing for the 21-22 audit? And as well as, I work for a school district and we complete our single audit at the same time that we complete our financial audit. Continuing to pursue funding opportunities that support strategic priorities and preserving public trust through transparency, accountability, and effective communication.
Thank you. Do you have any special interests or qualifications that you would bring to the council?
I do. I have over 18 years of experience in public accounting and finance, including budgeting, compliance, audits, and grants. I work for Northwest Regional ESD. Many of you are familiar with what that is. I have a strong background in financial reporting and process improvement with a focus on clear, accurate, and timely information. I have a deep understanding of long-term financial planning and strategic resource management, proven ability to communicate complex financial issues clearly and collaboratively at board meetings such as this. If appointed, I look forward to working closely with Mark, leveraging our shared financial backgrounds to strengthen the city's fiscal stewardship.
Have you previously served on a board or committee for any city or organization?
I have. I'm a current board member of the Association of School Business Officials International. I serve on multiple committees for the Oregon Association of School Business Officials. I've experienced an executive level collaboration, governance, and oversight. And if appointed, I look forward to contributing my financial expertise, working collaboratively, and helping strengthen the city's foundation for the future.
Okay, any other alibis, last minute questions? Okay, thank you, Tara.
Thank you.
Next. Anna Warrington.
Hello, councilors. Mayor.
If you'd like to introduce yourself, and then we'll start with Councilor Hagedorn.
Sure, my name is Ann Warrington. I am a resident here of 18 years.
Hold the mic up just a little bit.
A little bit more. Okay, thank you.
All right, Anna, why would you like to serve on city council?
Many reasons, but first I'd like to quickly introduce myself just a little bit more. I want to let everybody know that I am a stable resident here in North Plains. I've been here, like I said, 18 years. I think that longevity is definitely an important thing for this position, so I wanted to just point that out. I'm a committed person. I worked at Nike for over 21 years. I'll talk more about that in question 3 and 4. And I have availability. I just retired, yay. So I have some time. I'm looking for volunteer opportunities for the last few months, and this seemed like a perfect fit for me because I love our city so much. So the reason why I would like to serve is I really want to assist the city in making good decisions for North Plains, using the characteristics that you guys have been using lately of transparency and efficiency.
That's Robert.
What do you think are the most important issues now facing North Plains?
There are so many buzzwords going around, aren't there? But what I want to say is first, North Plains is a great city to work in and live. I love it here. It's a small town near Tanis Barn and Hillsborough and wonderful places to visit, but I love the small town feel here. Some of the issues, the important issues, of course, is the UGB. Everybody's talking about that. I think we have to be slow, steady, and well thought out around that. The data centers, the grocery store, all of that stuff needs to just be well thought out and slowly considered to make sure everybody is on board with what we're trying to do. Of course, the city audits, I didn't know it was going to be part of the agenda today. So that worked out well. Tobias Reed is kind of all over that. He's, of course, the Oregon Secretary of State. He keeps sending out emails about how important it is to complete our audits. So it's a big deal. I really want to see that complete. And then law enforcement after hours is kind of important to me and my community. There are some issues that I have had, my neighbors have had. I'd just like to have some discussions around that and see where we can have some good communication.
So,
Do you have any special interests or qualifications that you would bring to the city council?
I hope so. My qualifications, I worked in the Nike project management field, which is on my application. I worked with multiple teams in the project management field, based here in Beaverton. Well, not here, but here in Beaverton. Some people were in India, some people were in Canada. They were all over the place. So I had a very diverse group of people that I worked with in my teams. I had external partners that I worked with, the business team for the requirements, the engineering leads to make sure the requirements are well thought out and coded correctly, other PMs. So my point is that in my project management background, I worked with multiple people and teams to get jobs done. Facilitating meetings, and I know this meeting is different than the ones I facilitated a lot, but I'm currently reading the Robert's Rule of Order just to make sure I know you guys are how to do it right. Status reporting, problem solving, all of that kind of stuff fits right in with, project management. My special interest, of course, is making North Plains the best it can be using my strengths.
Councilor Horn?
Thank you. Have you previously served on a board or committee for any city or organization?
The organization that I co-chaired is the Nike's LGBT network. It was a no-term volunteer position, so I didn't get any money for it. But it was similar to this, where you volunteer your time, and my area of expertise on that one was community outreach. There was other pillars, finance, legislation, Nike community, but mine was community outreach. And during that stretch of time, which was about 5 years or so, I did a youth forum where I brought in kids from all of Oregon and Southwest Washington to the Nike campus, working with their GSAs, which is the Gay Straight Alliance groups within high schools to achieve their goals. So worked a lot with that. Also, I was a project finance budget review for all of the pillars. So they all had different projects that they worked on, and they all had their budgets. So I was lucky enough to look through their budgets, make sure they're on track. They were producing what they were supposed to produce, and then problem solve and regroup with a new project.
Okay.
So one last thing, I just want people to know that as a leader in my past working life, I was a calm servant leader. That's my approach.
Thank you. Councilors, any last minute questions? Okay, thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
And congrats on reading Robert's Rules. I've read it. It is quite interesting.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, final is Anis Zaman. Did I do that right? Pronounce it right? Got it. I was working on it. All right, so if you'd like to introduce yourself to council, and then we will start with Councilor Weber.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Anis Zaman. I'm current resident. I'm living in North Plains with my family, 2 children.
Okay, question number 1, why would you like to serve on the city council?
Thank you, Councillor. I want to represent the interest of the residents, common residents, and also want to help the council to meet the ongoing challenges for the residents for their daily livelihood, for their daily living. I believe that most of the residents share same view like me, that they want to see, their expectation is to see North Plains as a city, a smarter city, as a city that is able to efficiently provide all the amenities residents need, and not focusing on only the current needs and the challenges, also looking forward in the future. To mean that, I want to say that, like, most of the students want to see that they have what they need here. They have the pharmacy, they have the groceries, they have the childcare, all right here in North Plains. Again, they want to see that the city grow economically in a sustainable way that relies on itself and can flourish further. So I want to help the council with my public policy experience to make better policies so that we can really achieve those expectations of the residents. I know the time for this position is very short, but my approach will be to be a team member of the council. I know most of the amazing efforts are already taken, so I want to help the council to move forward with that one. At the same time, I will also make some noise to bring those discussions on the table that most of the residents feel that they should have it in North Plains.
That's ready.
What do you think are the most important issues now facing North Plains?
There are many, I will mention three of them. One is the North Plains is facing acute problem in generating enough revenue to deliver the services that it want to deliver, that it desire to deliver. Another challenge is to bring a common consensus among the residents and all the stakeholders to balance the tension between maintaining the tradition as a small town with the challenge of economic expansion of the city. And the third one is from the perspective of the residents. So they want their things right here in North Plains, daily things, that grocery, pharmacy, healthcare, childcare, all those things.
Councilor Lafarge?
Do you have any special interests or qualifications that you would bring to the city council?
Yes, my interest is to serve the community that I want to do with my knowledge in public policy. I'm a PhD candidate in Portland State on public policy. So I have learned the policy analysis, best practice analysis, and how to do the policy changes, how it happens. I also have the experience working with Oregon Health Authority for some time, and I also worked with Sunrise Water Authority, which is located in Happy Valley City. And also I have the experience of working with the communities. So I want to bring those experience to help the council. And presently, I'm the board member in Economic Development Commission. I just recently started my journey, so I'm just learning. So I'll also bring that short experience to work with the council.
Denise, have you previously served on a board or committee for any city or organization?
Not in the city, but as a student, I was the chair in Cultural Resource Center Advisory Committee in Portland State. I'm a current member of Homeowners Association, Make It Free. And another one I just mentioned, that the Economic Development Commission as a board member.
Great. All right, any final questions? Okay, thank you very much. If you want to take a seat.
Yeah, thank you.
And again, I just want to say again, thank you to all the candidates for coming and being well prepared. Always appreciate that. So at this time, and please give me a second when you nominate so I can write it down. I will open the floor to nominations.
Counselor Weber, I would make a motion to nominate Anna Warrington.
Okay, I have Councilor Weber nominates Anna Warrington. Do I have a second?
Counselor Redding, I'll second. Anna Warrington.
One second. Okay, so I have Anna Warrington nominated by Councilor Weber, seconded by Councilor Redding. Do I have any other nominations?
Councilor Papen, I nominate Tara Van Dyke.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay. Any other nominations? Okay. One last call. Any other nominations? Okay. Ron, do you want to pass out papers? Ron, can you call the votes?
Have Counselor Weber for Anna Warrington. Another for Anna Warrington.
Sorry, I need the name for the record.
Sorry, Hagedorn for
Thank you.
Anna Warrington. Counselor Capen for Anna Warrington. Counselor Redding for Anna Warrington. And Counselor DeForge for Anna Warrington.
Hey, thank you. And Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe next council meeting is swearing, correct?
Okay, that's quick, March 2nd.
March 2nd. So congratulations to Anna Warrington. We'll welcome you next council meeting for swearing in. Again, to Tara and Anise, thank you. And again, I encourage you to campaign. And I believe hopefully the counselors are willing to give you a hand if you are interested in the process. I know I can find some time to squeeze in if you really want to go and knock on people's doors. It's not any fun at all, but it's well worth it because it's very humbling. But again, congratulations and thank you all. So the next item on the agenda is SB 1586. So I actually asked Bill if he would put this on after some conversations. And what I'm looking for from council is a support, do not support, or do not want you to say anything. And my intent here is to take the will of the council to our representative, Darcy Edwards, and our Senator Suzanne Weber. So if you're unfamiliar with the bill, effectively it will give tax credits for semiconductor research, and it will also add the rural reserves in Western Washington County to Metro, which will essentially be, you can look at the map, essentially brings the rural reserves in the Metro out to Jackson School Road that can be used for semiconductor or high tech or whatever. But it says high tech, so I guess we'll go with high tech advanced manufacturing. So you can share whatever your deliberation is, but what I'm looking for is please ask them to support, please ask them not to support, or please don't say anything to them. That was my 3 requests. So I'd just like to go down the line real quick if we could, Councilor DeForge.
I would suggest, please do not support.
Okay.
Counselor Redding, I oppose.
And then do you want me to?
Do not support.
Thank you. I just want to make sure I'm getting your opinion for Councilor Weber.
Counselor Weber, I'm a fan of the grand bargain that committed 50 years of preserving the land, so I would definitely oppose this bill, which would overrule the grand bargain agreement.
Okay. Sorry.
Counselor Hagedorn, I do not support.
Councilor Fagan.
Counselor Capen, I would like to not take any stance on this bill.
Okay, that's all I needed. I just needed to know what council wanted.
Easy now.
Yes, so thank you all. And again, as I posted on Facebook and will be coming out in the North Plains Living, I encourage everybody, whether you agree or disagree with it, this is our state, so please get involved and talk to your senators and reps, whatever your opinion is. You don't have to agree with me or them or anybody else, but I would just encourage everyone to please get involved, because I believe not just this issue, every issue, there's a lot of things going before the legislature, and they work for us. We should politely and respectfully give them our input. You guys have council ready?
I have a point of order.
Oh, please.
10A boards and commissions subcommittee discussion.
I'm sorry.
I don't know what it's about.
Oh.
Quite interested.
So, yes, I skipped one. And see, I was trying to get that here. So what we need is just for you, the 3 of you who are on the subcommittee, to give us where you're at, and then take any feedback from council before it can go to a external. We need to know kind of where you're at and then what your next steps are. So it doesn't have to be anything formal, just give us a heads up on, we are here and we need you to do this. That makes sense?
Yeah, I'm just not prepared because I wasn't given any information about what this was about.
So where are you guys at now?
I mean, I have a document that's been created. We had assignments, we doled out meeting before last council meeting. Our schedules have not aligned to meet again to go over what we've done, but everybody can edit the document as they work on it. It's become quite a large scope. I know one member has some reserve about continuing because it is so large. I feel like when I started this, I really wanted to take it off of staff's backs and try and present this to council as neatly as I could, following other cities' documents. But it is a large chunk. It's taken up a lot of my personal time. So I mean, that's kind of where we're at. Mandy?
Counselor Hagedorn here, or, following up with, what Counselor, Redding said, we do have a draft that's in progress. We're working towards a tentative 3/16 deadline, which was discussed last meeting.
Okay. So by 3/16, we'll have a draft. And I'll let the rest of council speak, but my suggestion would be to limit scope to what you feel is most critical, kind of like we talked with Chief and with Planning Commission on. But yes, that works. Any other comments from council?
Counselor Weber, I was also there. I'm on that same wavelength that Counselor Grimbo said, or Mayor, you know, perhaps we have to bring the scope back a little. I think it's a wonderful task, but maybe we have to have part A or B or something. Maybe we get some done and some done late, but again, I would defer to the 3.
So, yeah, so it sounds like we're gonna bring it back on the 16th. So Bill, let's add that as a unfinished business item on the 16th.
So is that something we send to council before the meeting? We send it and put it in the agenda packet?
Let's go ahead and send that to council, just BCC, or send it to Bill and let Bill send it. So that way we don't end up with a serial meeting.
Yeah, you can make it reply.
Yeah, just send it to Bill and then Bill will send it to council. That way we don't accidentally.
So Bill, when would you like that before the 16th?
I mean, Council Redding, if it is, I mean, if it's strictly a package of information that you want to discuss at the city council meeting, I mean, I think Lori would probably be happy to get it the Wednesday prior. So at the latest, just so that make sure we get everything formatted properly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, anything else? I'll try not to skip stuff in the future. All right, next is city manager report.
Okay, I don't want to belabor too much, but let's just go over kind of schedule moving forward and I kind of want to get some information from you all, or at least some input about it. So at the March 2nd meeting, your very next city council meeting, the work session is scheduled to be charter change. And the most specific idea for discussion has been, as mayor, I think has said on, I know he's talked about it at meetings I've had with him, but I think at least one city council meeting he mentioned it. And that is that the city of Sherwood in January went through a popular vote to change their charter. And it does revolve around the issue of local control, housing provision, annexations, that sort of thing. And I have Emily Matasar slated to help us kind of walk through that, kind of a work session about charter changes and that particular topic. I haven't heard anything else specifically. That's in that particular charter change. The Westside Economic Alliance meeting that had the mayor of Sherwood there kind of walking through it with the city attorney. An hour was not nearly enough for that topic. Now you don't have a bunch of different people asking you questions. It's your work session to walk through, so it would be a little bit different. But is that really kind of the topic for the work session? You know, or is there anything else we need to be looking into for you? But that's kind of that's kind of all I have in there right now.
Is there any other charter changes?
And Counselor Hagedorn here, I think also, if possible, nice to have it be succession planning. What we looked for the summer, yeah.
So
If there's any Yes.
Yeah, so reading your mind. Councilor Hagedorn, you're interested in some kind of discussion as well about now putting any mayor replacement up for popular vote rather than city council filling that vacancy like any other city council vacancy. Is that correct?
Right, is there a better way to do this?
Okay, just different ideas how
Yeah.
that might work when that's a difficult thing. Okay.
Sure. Okay, any others? And again, just to be clear, this is not making a decision, this is having a conversation with public like we're supposed to. Because this is something that's being talked about by a lot of mayors. And I feel it's appropriate for us to discuss these things in work sessions to make decisions for council. So I just want to be clear with everyone and the public. I'm not advocating or not advocating, I'm saying this is a conversation that mayors are having and that city councils should be having together. In public so that we can bring the right things to the voters to make the right decisions. Just want to clarify.
This is for the March 2nd.
Yes.
Work session. If we have an epiphany between now and then, are we allowed to expand scope or do we have to keep to what we're communicating to you tonight?
Well, I guess what I would say is, this one's gonna have attorney time involved.
Okay.
Because when you talk about charter change and what
Yeah.
are the implications and how you do it and everything, because part of it is charter change 101, just what are you looking at when you are considering a charter change? For instance, Sherwood's in January was technically an emergency city charter change by popular vote. What constitutes an emergency versus a regular and all that. So there's some city charter change 101 involved. But but getting back to the answer, if you have any other suggestions or ideas, the sooner the better. Because I need to work with Emily on. Two might take up the bulk of the time, and let's have another meeting about other charter change ideas in the future. But starting with maybe these two, but I'll work with her on that.
Thank
But
you.
if more come up, please send them along.
Thank you.
Okay, the rest of it, March 16th, we're just talking work session. So March 16th, we don't. Originally, we had, it was just a suggestion that the subcommittee regarding boards and commissions could have that time if that was wanted. It's is that what you'd like? Is the work session time to go through kind of your work and everything you've been doing, or did you want that as a regular city agenda item? What works best for you? Because I still kind of have that blocked out, not firmly scheduled. The March 16th work session.
Dealer's choice.
Well, it's your subcommittee's choice.
We can have a substantial document to review and go over, and I think a work session, probably, we could easily just do a work session.
Okay, we could, yeah, I mean, if it sounds like it really kind of turned into rabbit hole after rabbit hole and you had to work through a lot, maybe the work session would be, just kind of knock it out before the regular meeting.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, we can do that. That's no problem. So, yeah, well, main thing is I know you were planning based on the discussion we just had prior. The March 16th was when you'd be ready for what you wanted to talk about. But it's just a matter of putting it into a work session rather than the regular agenda, a city council agenda item, meeting agenda item. So we'll do that. April 6th is still the URA grant programs discussion. April 20th, May 4th and May 18th, we don't have anything scheduled yet. I welcome ideas from you all. You don't have to decide that right now necessarily. You could send those in to me. What I will say though is we are approaching, when we get into April and May, we're getting in the mid-biennium, and so we'll need to reconvene the budget committee and kind of give an update on where we are versus budget, and then just kind of go over the year to come sort of thing. So that'll happen. You might want to say no work session the 20th or May 4th, because there'll be a budget committee meeting for mid-biennium, so just suggesting that.
Yeah, but it's Star Wars Day, so.
There you go, May the 4th, that's right. May the 4th.
I think Councilor DeForge had a comment.
Can I point out that we're budget committee?
Yeah, I
members
was
short?
gonna bring that up too.
Yes, that's a
Actually,
good point.
we'll have one due in April as well, so we'll have 2 positions we need to advertise.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you. So moving forward, you have those work session times for the 4th and the 18th.
And I'll just say, from my perspective, and you guys can disagree, but my opinion is if we're at a point where we finally gotten, we feel like we've got our arms wrapped around things and work's getting done, if we don't need a work session for a while, I'm okay with that too. I just want to make sure that we're doing the business that we were elected to do.
Very good. Thank you, Mayor. Next item. You all have given the dates of March 8th, 15th, and the 22nd to be good offsite or kind of weekend strategic planning dates. So what I want to put forward is to ask you to give me April dates as well. We are kind of also dealing with the buzzsaw of every other city who is not biennial doing annual budget goals, strategic planning. So facilitation of that. It's not super easy to nail down dates. So if you could give me some in the first couple weeks of April, that would be appreciated. And then March 2nd, you'll have a new counselor and her schedule as well can be factored in. So just kind of putting that out there.
Dates that are Sundays?
Sundays seem to work nicely. Yeah, if you don't mind. And then based on Councilor DeForge's request at the prior council meeting regarding the USDA rural grant or money that we have allocated to us, the $1 million there, and kind of what next steps are. There's really not enough yet together to put together a memo, I would say, but I will kind of give a couple where we are and then what we need to do. Unlike the EPA, who as soon as we were selected to receive the Brownfield grant, the EPA has a group kind of qualified consultants that they instantly assign to the grantee, the selected agency, us, a consultant to help us navigate through the process moving forward. That's not so with USDA. So we are currently working with Colpac, Columbia Pacific Economic Development District, on basically finding from people that they know, consultants or individuals, if not in-house, to kind of help us navigate this process, to go through the application process, and then kind of project planning. And then the second thing that we're beginning to do is what we have to do as a city is go through and revise the Civic Center plan that dates back to 2020. All of you lived here. I think most, if not all of you lived here that are on council. But the city went through the Civic Center public facilities city space needs study back in 2020, 2021. And there was never a final architectural design for the Civic Center, but rather kind of a community outreach driven. These are the different services we want to provide in a city hall civic center project. And that study is a line, kind of identifies space needs by department and use. That needs to be updated because of the Kendall Public Services building has rendered fulfilled some of those needs. So we don't need a police department with a civic center. We do need council chambers, we need meeting space, we still need additional library space. But we do have to scope out with an architect what that looks like. And then hire somebody to revise that space need so that we can move forward with a project. So that's kind of where we are, is just finding people to help us with those two things. Going through the USDA rural program process, and then we don't have the horsepower in-house. And then somebody to revise the Civic Center plan. So that's where we are.
Councilor Torch, just for a rough ballpark, is that a 6 week, 6 months, a year? What does that look like?
Great question. So in terms of finding a consultant, I don't know. That's kind of a specialized thing. But within a month, we can have, my plan is to reach out to FFA. They are the firm that did the space study need before, and just ask them if an update happened with new cost estimates, what does that look like? What's the scope of that study? And then based on what the cost is, then we move forward with find somebody to do it. So 4 weeks.
Could we say maybe put on the books for the 16th of March to have an update from through the city manager report then maybe on like costs, so we can start making like, you know, gagging sounds if it's too much or celebrate if it's nothing.
The answer is yes, absolutely, yes.
Okay. Yeah, anybody else questions? Okay.
And then really quickly, sorry, we didn't really get to discuss it, but we can put it on the agenda for March 2nd if you like, or at least talk about it more, is if the monthly financial reports don't have information that you would like to have in it, emphasize something too much, don't emphasize another thing. You as a council that report isn't a script that I've pulled from best practices, Department of Revenue in Oregon. Okay, it does look a lot like some of the other reports other cities do, but it's not identical. You all can ask for information you would rather see or reformat it, that sort of thing. But that's a conversation that you all have to have and agree on, and then staff moves forward with it. So just letting you know, that's something you all get to think about and you know, give different direction if you'd like.
Councilor Forge.
Mayor Dunbar, would you guys be interested in a subcommittee to make recommendations?
Subcommittee. You love subcommittees, but to make recommendations as far as what the scope of reporting, I don't know, Council, what do you think?
We just have on it.
How long do you anticipate this conversation taking? Out of curiosity. I'm sensing something here, so I'm trying to draw out where you're going with this.
No, I was just going to, I was just thinking that, anyone who's interested could get together and go into the weeds and come up with an idea and surface it to the group. But if you guys want to discuss it together, that's perfectly fine.
I would not be opposed if council wanted to have a subcommittee, as long as it comes back before the next council meeting.
What?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
I think what I'm getting from council is maybe we should just have this conversation. And everybody make notes, do not send them to each other. Make notes on what you'd like to see, if there's changes, and then what level of detail you're looking for, and then let's present that. We'll come to consensus. Does that work for everyone?
Can we include the URA in scope of this? Or is this only?
That's a good question.
No, all funds.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, to date, the focus has been on funds, the operating funds, simply because they spend money every single day. And so over the course of a month, it's worth always checking on those things. The URA, any of your funds though can be, you can treat them all equally if you would like. You can simply say no, not the capital funds every month, because you know, project activity isn't going and it's not worth the time or whatever. It's all up to you, so.
So I'll say there's 6 subcommittees of 1 person who cannot meet with any other subcommittee, and bring back your recommendations and try to keep it brief, because we don't want next council meeting to run till midnight. Go ahead, Councilor Weber.
I was just gonna say, Counselor Weber, you know, I think you're being kind of humble in the fact that we do have a CPA. I would certainly defer to insights you might have about things we could add and just put them out there.
There's the subcommittee of 1.
Yeah.
We're all in this together.
Anything else, Bill?
That's it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, so we're gonna go through council reports, and because somebody has kindly put them in order, I'm just gonna go Councilor DeForge.
No council reports for me. I have a library board meeting tomorrow and then Metro next week.
All right, Councilor Hagedorn.
I sat in on behalf of Trista or Councilor Pavin for the February 12th Community Development Policy Advisory Board. We did approve on some funds to disperse of the Community Development Block Grants and Home Improvement Partnerships for the years 26-27, and the total amount is approximately $2 million. There's also going to be some beneficiaries of North Plains. I'll let Councilor Pavin disclose that good news. I won't spill the beans, but they're also looking forward to advocacy for the National Community Development early April. So there is that. My meeting with the director of WACA is moved to the 27th. And then of course I have the honor of attending, the sisters and stuff, grand opening in partnership with Counselor Weber, who is representing the URA. They do have a lot of stuff. I highly recommend going down there and doing a treasure hunt, and one could get lost in there and consume a lot of time, so. Oh, the senior center, no, it's a bump. I would prefer you to.
You're next anyway, so just.
Okay, Counselor Papen, well, I was not in attendance for that CDBG meeting. However, I did attend the presentation for CDBG funding. And there is a nonprofit group starting up in North Plains who's really looking for community outreach, specifically with those in need of the senior citizen demographic specifically, and really just being of assistance. And they did a great job, explaining their mission. So I don't want to mince words. But they came before and they were selected for funding, part of the CDBG funding group. So really exciting to have someone from North Plains represent. And I would just share for my own council report, I have not had an ex officio meeting yet, but I did have the opportunity to start the first of many meetings as a resident representing for the Washington County Sheriff's Office Community Academy. So got a great tour of Washington County headquarters. I look forward to the next few weeks just learning about all that Chief Jones and soon to be Chief O'Reilly a day in their life. So I'll report back as I hear more each week.
Was that Joanna Hunt that's great? Awesome. All right, cool. I'm trying to get coffee with her because I just wanted to talk about what she's doing, but I didn't know she got a grant. It's even better. Okay, Councilor Red.
Council Redding, the first officio duties I had was with Parks and Rec. They focused primarily on finalizing revisions to their bylaws. The main discussion centered on attendance. The board reached consensus that 2 consecutive unexcused absences will trigger a conversation between the member and the chair. And if unexcused absences continue, it may result in a recommendation to council for removal. The emphasis was on communication and accountability, while still recognizing that life circumstances happen. Also discussed quarterly reporting to council, and the board understands that council prefers a representative present when reports are delivered to answer questions. There was a request regarding youth baseball practice use at the Jesse May Field this spring. However, currently all park facilities operate on a first come, first served basis, as we do not have a reservation system for athletic fields. The board expressed interest in exploring a future reservation structure, particularly as park usage grows and hopefully as we get the new parks position filled. The board briefly revisited pavilion rental fees. However, at this time, rental revenue already goes into the Jesse May operating fund, which covers maintenance and repairs, so no changes were made. Staff provided an update on park development in the Bryn Hill phases. Work is expected to progress this spring, including restroom adjustments and continued coordination with the developer. The board continues to provide advisory input consistent with the park's master plan. Overall, the meeting focused on governance, clarity, responsible facility use, and preparing for future growth. My second meeting was with Planning Commission on February 11th. I was present for the regular portion of the Planning Commission meeting and watched the work session afterwards, so I'll separate those. During the regular meeting, the commission approved the January minutes with a clarification that a previous comment I made reflected my personal position and not the full council. Commissioners asked staff about several recent signage approvals, including Columbia Bank, a fitness center, and a school sign. Staff confirmed those permits were properly issued and will follow up on one additional location. No broader land use concerns were raised. Staff also identified a potential compliance issue related to Goal 1, citizen involvement. Under our comprehensive plan, the Planning Commission is designated as the committee for citizen involvement. That may require annual reporting or enhanced engagement measures to ensure we remain compliant. This is something that may come back to council for awareness or direction. After I left, the commission held a work session on development code update options, which I watched later. Consultants outlined 3 pathways.
a minimal legislative compliance update, a moderate targeted update, or a comprehensive multi-year modernization. From the discussion, the commission appears to be leaning toward a phased, comprehensive approach, particularly in preparation for future UGB expansion and in light of state housing law changes. No formal recommendations were made. Staff will return in March with a refined proposal outlining scope and cost options, and council should expect the conversation to include potential multi-year budget considerations. So those are my ex officio updates. Sorry, they're long.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
And then I have questions about audiovisual equipment update. Bill, sorry, I'm gonna be the thorn in your
No,
side.
it's okay. We just, with everything going on, I think they've got things too. We haven't nailed down a meeting date. So, I'll get back to them. So, but no, please be the thorn. That's okay.
And then I was gonna ask for clarity, as the local contract review board, could we begin reviewing a monthly report of all contracts executed under delegated authority, including vendor, amount, and procurement method? Is that something I asked the council?
Emily Manasar will address that issue on March 2nd.
And then I was just wondering who Matt is. She kept referring to a Matt and
Oh.
for the audits, and then others, she said 2 others attended to help.
Yes, so the Matt you refer to is Matt Apkin, who is basically the project team lead for us for financial consulting as well as financial statements. And then the other people who attended would be Bailey Gaunt, our own senior accounting clerk, and then Jenny Poff, who is also with Marina. She helps with bank reconciliations, kind of identifying and helping us with journal entries, and then when we need to modify some things, correct errors, that sort of thing, and then payroll reporting assistance. So,
Can I clarify on that? So Marina is assisting with the audit?
yes. So Marina, when Savannah mentioned the city was producing its own financial statements. What she meant was Marina is doing that for us.
Okay.
And then,
Great.
and then what Marina has pulled together for financial statements is what she mentioned was submitted to Umpqua Valley Financial not that long ago. I think, I don't know why, but there had been some misconception or misperception by Umpqua Valley Financial that they would be taking all of our information and doing our own our financial statements for us. They would be doing, but we've been working with them since early 2000 or 2024, and so that conversation was a little bit surprising. But the bottom line is Marina has done our financial statements, and they've been submitted for review to Umpqua Valley Financial. So.
But Matt is not Marina.
Matt is Marina.
He is Marina.
Matt Apkin is with Marina.
Oh,
Yes, he certainly is.
there we go.
Mhm. Yep, he's the team leader for that, so. On the Marina side.
So we have a contract with Marina, or is that was a continuation of an old contract?
We have a contract scope that we haven't finalized for a new contract, and I believe in an email either today or very recently, Emily just kind of went over that with you all. But it's an expanded scope that's reflective of not having a finance manager in-house, but having consulting assistance with those things. So, correct. Okay.
And then one last question. So I get the emails from the chamber, and I was going through their minutes, and I know you attend. And I know I've kind of asked this before, but like, do we have contracts with them? And then if we do, can we receive reports back so that if they need support from us in some way, especially with them supporting our business community?
With the chamber.
Yeah.
Okay, so, well, the relationship there is that the city is simply an annual member. And we pay a membership fee like businesses do, and we're a member, and they just keep the city, a city report on their agenda for their regular member meeting every month. And so a number of us just go and listen, and then I tend to give, Robin and I both actually tend to kind of give tag team a report about what's going on. Very briefly, last time I focused on the fact that we had a vacant seat. And so if anybody wanted to apply or they knew anybody who wanted to apply, get the word out, just things like that. But other than that, not really. We're just a member of the chamber, the city is.
I know, but as counselors, we're not necessarily attending, but we're members. So when you go, could you bring back and maybe give us some, a little brief overview of?
Yeah, sure. I mean, they hand out an agenda and all that, so we can share information from that.
The highlights, just kind of like how we do as ex officios? I don't know. How does council feel about that idea?
Council Pittman, I see what you're kind of the angle and appreciate just that transparency. I think, and this is the part I'm gonna ask Bill and put you on the spot, but are those chamber agendas and minutes, are those visible on their website? Is that something that we could go find on our own accord?
I have never tried to look to see.
I believe they are.
I mean,
remember, it's a business.
It's just their general member meeting. They have a separate kind of private board meeting that isn't, but Mayor may be correct. I've never looked for that information on their website, so I can't say yes or no.
Okay, and I just asked that because I think about the current climate that we're in, and we as a council, I think a lot of our priorities are really weighted in the audits, and I am hesitant to ask for one more thing that maybe isn't as big of a priority in my eyes, at least in my opinion. If it's something that we can just find on our own accord on a website.
If I might follow up on that, I think the one thing that I would additionally add is, they're a private member organization. And so that might be a conversation to have about what that, if there was any kind of communication of what they're doing here. You might want to have a conversation with the chamber about what that would look like anyway.
Yeah, I think, I would be with Councilor Pittman on that. I think it's one more thing, one more report. I understand where you're coming from, but I think I would tend to concur, but I'll leave it to the rest of the council. Okay. Anybody have any other thoughts? Or I think at this time, it seems like maybe something to table. So, anything else, Council? Councilor Weber?
I neglected last time to mention that I'd been at the library meeting, so I apologize for that. The library was in a good mood because the levy passed. If people haven't had a chance, go see the annex next to the library. They're doing a great job with it. They're mostly ready for that to be fully rolling, so that was good. I was able to attend 2 kickoff events, one for the food bank, one for the Two Sisters. That was a lot of fun. My favorite part of the Two Sisters is a lady pulled me aside to tell me that many of the houses in North Plains are haunted, and she offered to tour me of the most haunted house.
Oh, jealous.
And Councilor Weber declines to go to that house. I would ask for a little more clarification on the contract process. That's come up before. That doesn't have to be done now, but just so we understand, my thing being on council is transparency. So if there's an easier way to make sure we've seen the contracts, that we're updated on the contract we have with Umpqua, the contracts that we have with Marina. I presume there was some sort of contract with cleanup of the Glencoe property. Again, not that we need to always decide, but just.
That's already been answered. Emily will address that on the subject.
So that's all great. The other thing, I realize it's important for us not to micromanage staff, but I'm in a unique position. I have helped unload at the food bank in the mornings. I would encourage, before this decision is made, some of you go over there, help hang out there. I was amazed. It's extremely dangerous. In that food bank, you're working with a lot of volunteers that don't have the skill, and they're loading things on carts and they move around without paying attention. And if it's at all possible in these decisions, again, I would just hate, I don't think it's far-fetched that if it's in front, somebody could eventually get sideswiped. And if at all possible, I would favor it on the side street. Again, not my decision, but I would say if you haven't yet, go over there while the loading and unloading is happening, talk to Laura, just so you have a feel for what the issue is, and then, yeah, so be it. Thank you.
Mayor Dunbar, could I jump in for a brief moment?
Very brief.
It wasn't clear to me what authority the council has to either act or not act on Laura's complaint, so I would appreciate some clarity around.
I would suggest you send that to Emily, because that's getting into a very gray area. I believe council's direction to staff was see if there's a temporary solution for traffic calming, which I believe council had consensus on, so that's the direction we're going to take moving forward. But if you have further questions on that, please send them to Emily. But at this point, that's pretty much all we have. Anything else? No. All right. So I will address Strong Town's comments on city manager review. That's already been sent to Emily, so we will make no further comments without advice of council. So that's where that sits, just so we're on the record on that. I attended the Washington County Coordinating Committee meeting. It's always a great time. Transportation is probably the most riveting subject you'll ever find out about. I just keep telling them that we don't want Metro trying to take over North Plains. So that's usually the soapbox that I stand on. And also trying to get more economic development funds out of some of these organizations. So made some good relationships out of the committee though, so that helps. Largely it's just focused on the short legislative session, and the gas tax and the various other bills that are getting to legislature on at the moment, and trying to figure out what the stance is. And I did not have any ex officio duties. There is an event for Peak Chiropractic coming up next week. It's going to be a paint night. I would suggest if you're available, I will actually be out of town, unfortunately, but there is a paint night coming. We'll do this on Thursday. Just reach out to Serena at Peak or just walk over there. And they would love to have you. There's another event and it escapes me, but I'll try to send it out to everybody. And I can't even think of what it is. I apologize, it's late. But there was another event. So if anybody has time to make community events, it's a great way to support our local businesses. Just showing up means a ton to them. So anything you can do to help support the local businesses, I'm sure that they would appreciate it, and economic development and the chamber would appreciate it. And thank you to Councilor Shagedorn and Weber, thank you for attending the Sisters and Stuff ribbon cutting. I took some time with my wife and we had a little time out of town, so that was nice. And with that, let's see, do we need to go over March meetings? Anybody have questions? Hopefully you can all read the calendar. And ex officio duties, and we don't have any more council committee appointments because we did them all. And with that, I will thank you all for your time, and we will adjourn at 9:32.
No, would you, we would have probably done that.
Everybody got a shot.